During the summer of 2023, transplanting trials began at the Wheeler River Project site in northern Saskatchewan. The goal of these trials is to better understand how we can support ecosystem recovery after a disturbance. Early in the summer, we visited the area and looked at ecosystems that had been disturbed naturally by fire. We assessed the soil and looked at which species were returning and when they returned after the fire. Using this knowledge, we began to design a transplanting experiment which involved choosing target species to learn about. The moss species Polytrichum pilliferum is a target species because it is present after a forest fire. The species jack pine and blueberry were also chosen because they are found after a fire and decades after as well. We also noticed that charcoal covers the ground from burnt trees and included charcoal in the trials to understand if it can help support the species. Once we had decided on the target species, we collected the moss and charcoal. The moss was gathered near the site and was collected as a mat for direct planting or was shredded. Charcoal was collected at a recent 2022 fire nearby and was sieved to a finer material. Once the charcoal and moss were ready for the trial, we prepared the site for planting. This meant using a cleared area and marking off each plot location. We also had to add coarse woody debris to some parts of the trial, which meant dragging logs and deadfall over to the planting site. We did this so we could assess if the plant species do better in coarse woody debris or if they don't. This work was completed thanks to a great team, including 2 local youth, university staff, and Denison employees. Each block was divided in half, one side with the woody debris, the other half without. On either side there were 10 treatments, with different combination of moss blocks, moss shredding, no moss, charcoal added, and no charcoal. Each plot was planted, then burlap was placed over. For example, a specific plot may have a moss mat and charcoal. To prepare this plot, charcoal would be sprinkled over the plot area, the mat would be planted in the center, and burlap would be placed over top. Another plot may have shredded moss and charcoal, so the moss and charcoal would be spread out over the plot area and likely raked, then covered with burlap and staked down. Next summer, we will be planting jack pine and blueberry into the plots that have those species. The goal is to assess how we can support species establishment in these disturbed landscapes and learn a bit more about how interconnected soil and vegetation is. This transplanting experiment is a small piece of the DERT project and will be built upon in the coming summer.